The following audio may contain coarse language and other material that may not be suitable for a younger audience. Viewer discretion is advised. Also, we may spoil anything and everything, so you have been warned.
Hello, and welcome to the Save Point Podcast, episode number 3, magic number 3, with me, as always, the intrepid trio, the lovable lads from all over. We've got, in North Carolina, Jack Newman.
What the hell is that? What are you doing?
Don't know.
I was going to make like a really sipping noise, but I made it super awkward and just coughing. Okay. No, I have a drinking problem. Oh my god. Hey guys, what's up?
Oh, this is too good. This is too good.
While Jack is recovering from his attempted sip, we'll throw it over to Peter Tansey. How are you, Peter?
Hey, I am good, and I am now in a very good mood after that. That was perfect. I love you, Jack, so much.
It's always up to me to brighten your day, Peter.
I mean, it pretty much is. Like otherwise, my days are much like Houston weather, dark and stormy.
Ooh. Very spooky, very spooky.
That was
I mean, it's been raining. It's been raining in my part of Texas for like at least once a day for the past like.
Oh,
5
I
days,
just
I
assumed
think.
you meant like your emotional state, and I was like, "Damn, Peter."
No.
No, the South is underwater, man. Have you not seen that? Houston's not as bad as Baton Rouge, but it's that rain has been all over them, man.
I would like some rain to cool down because it is hot as balls here. Like I think it's like, I don't know, we've been in the 90s consecutively for like 4 or 5 weeks, and I'm just like, nope, I'm done. It's like end of August, fuck you.
It's so weird living in a place that's in a drought because you see how you're like supposed to water your plants. Like they're all like really clever, smart watering systems, and there's lots of like cactuses instead of like grass everywhere. And I'm like, oh. And then you go to Houston, and it's just like water goes all over the street. Who cares? There's so much of it.
It's like North Carolina. You can literally like, I don't know, like scoop the air and water your plants with it.
I mean, pretty much that's how it felt today. The second I got out of my car when I went to work, I was like, and I'm sweating.
Oh my god, we're talking about the weather. We are talking about the weather
no!
on the podcast.
No! 45!
How old are we? But in all serious, thoughts, prayers, supplies, and money and donations to Louisiana right now because because they're going through some tough shit right now, and they need it all. They need all the donations and supplies.
I got family out in Baton Rouge, and it's tough. So yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Same.
Well, let's get to the show. Let's get to it. So we will, of course, talk about what we played this week. We'll throw it over to Jack for some news stories, and our topic this week will be No Man's Sky, and then kind of go into the price of games. But first up, we will be talking about what we played this week. So, Jack, what have you played?
So I went ahead and finished up Abzu, and for my full thoughts, we're actually going to be posting on Unhelpful Media over on YouTube, so go check that out. I go by a different name there, but you'll be able to tell it's my voice. Anyways, go check that out for the full review. We'll post it on Tuscan Shed Media Network, and you can go check it out on the blog there. But for just a summation real quick, I'd say that Abzu is playing. I mean, I think one of the great things about Journey, and one of the things that Abzu helped me realize, is that Journey might be the Bicycle Thieves of video games. And that I think what it made me realize is that like Abzu is a patented ripoff from a different company of Journey. It's by Matt Nava, the guy who actually was he was a game designer. He was like an artistic directional guy for Journey and Flower, and left that game company to start up Giant Squid, which is the company that published Abzu. So it's definitely in the same vein, down to the point where there's literally like shots that are like lifted from the Journey moments, and it's so close to Journey, it's hard to not compare them. And it's just because of that comparison, this game is terrible. I feel like if it wasn't forcing that comparison so often, I wouldn't be like, man, there's a better game out there I should be playing. And that's just the way I felt. And so I think anytime you consider buying this game or Abzu, you need to be like, oh, do I own Journey? I'll go play that again. And once you've played that a couple more times, wait for Abzu to inevitably be a free game on PS Plus, because it's gonna come. There's no way. But that's just all. That's the only things I have to say about it. It's kind of sad, but I think the best thing it did for me is make me realize like how masterful Journey was in terms of the way it was set up, because it fails in like the setup and kind of some of the third act reveals and all of these other things. It really shows that, because it's a more complicated tale, but it fails so much more as a narrative, on a narrative level. And a game's mechanic level, but that's because loop-de-loops are bullshit. But that's another thing.
we got an epic off mic rant from Jack about the loop-de-loops.
Oh,
maybe
yeah,
it was on mic.
It was. I don't remember, but
all
I'll say is that it has this thing where if you're directionally pointing it and you push it forward, the max, you want it to be like Z space, like at traditional controls where you're piloting around like a starship, because it's 3D movement through a 3D space. But if you push back on the look thing and it goes all the way back, he'll just loop around. And so there were so many times in this game where I was just cussing it out because the dude just was like, oh, loop, 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 loop. He's like, oh, loop to loop. There's a shark there, loop to loop. Oh, there's a mine there, loop to loop into the mine. Motherfucker.
It sounds comical and wonderful in your in that voice of yours, Jack. So
yeah,
I don't
loop
know
to
what you're
loop.
talking about.
We need to get to the core game files, and every loop-to-loop needs to make that noise.
Loop-to-loop. Loop-to-loop.
That's an interesting comparison you make to Bicycle Thieves. I like that, where you're like, maybe you need distance from Bicycle Thieves to be like, oh, that was special. It was just a good movie. That's a special, important
I don't know
shift
that...
in the medium.
Yeah. Sorry, man. Go ahead.
No, it's cool. I'm done.
No, sorry. I mean, but I think you're exactly right. I don't know. I'm trying to find a movie that like people needed. Like, I'm trying to. What's a good example of a movie that you needed distance to realize? Damn, that was important for the canon of movies. Do you know what I mean?
Probably Vertigo. Vertigo, when it came out, everyone was just like, ugh, you got weird. This wasn't really fun. Hitchcock, and then later on,
right,
in like the 70s and 80s, people were like, damn, that was really intelligent, really smart. And really important.
Which is, I think, the thing is like people think Journey is really good because it was.
But that's different. It was like people didn't like that movie. People like Journey, but you're
people
right.
love Journey. And I think that's the thing is it was very innovative. But like I think seeing a game do the exact same thing, and that's the thing is I was like, man, I just want more Journey. And now I think back to it, I'm like, no, I don't want more of that game. I wanted that game exactly like it was, and that is all I want.
Right. That game is perfect.
Exactly. That game is exactly it. That experience built into Journey is the best that type of gameplay is ever going to be. And I think that's a realization that I had playing literally Abzu, which is the exact same thing, just, shittier.
Well, anything else you need to say about Abzu, or can we
No. Let's move on.
He's like, please, let me forget this game forever. Don't make me relive it.
Well, definitely go check out Jack's review. I'm very excited to read that, because his journey from starting the game to the end was interesting.
Maybe not Abzu, the game, but Jack's review for sure.
Definitely. Well, Peter, what have you been playing?
I played 2 games. The first one I will talk about more briefly than the second because they both just came out, but the other one I enjoyed more. Even though I love them both. Playdead's newest game, Inside. These are the same people who made the game Limbo. So once again, in Inside, you're playing as a nameless, more or less faceless child, running in a back and forth in a 2D space. That is part of a semi 3D environment. I don't want to give too much away because I believe, Ben, you've played it, but Jack, you haven't. Am I correct in that?
Which game? Oh, Inside.
Inside.
I still have not played Inside.
Okay, yeah. So I don't want to give too much away, but it is so interesting how Playdead you use light and shadow and atmosphere to really create like a creepy experience. It was well done, and its ending is kind of abrupt, and looking back at the whole thing, I don't know how to interpret it exactly, but yeah, Jack, definitely definitely give it a play.
Yeah.
Give it a run through, and let us know
I think that's the thing is like now that you've talked about it and I realize that you're playing it, like now I have to go buy it, and we just need to do a spoiler cast on it, because if it's rocking you guys this much, I mean that's the thing that I love is like you can do news sites and game reviews, and even like you're listening to us on this podcast, but don't listen to us. Like go get a friend and listen to them and what they have to say. And I'm sorry if you don't have friends, but
at least get someone that you can talk about video games with.
Like it's hard.
Go on Tinder and write, "I want video game friends," and then swipe.
Yes, it's like you go on like Grindr or something, and you're like, "Oh man, I don't want to hook up. I just want to have some male friends."
I love when the straight man brings up Grindr, and I'm sitting here like,
I don't know, dude. I need more gay friends. Sometimes I'm like, I'm straight, but seriously, we should like hang out sometimes.
Yeah, if only I was able to teleport over to North Carolina, I'd be like right there, dude. Like,
I know,
yeah.
but I love you. I can feel you in spirit behind me.
Oh, giving you big bear hugs.
Oh, I don't. Oh man, I need it. Like in my life, like.
I'm sorry. Whatever. I'm gonna continue. Whatever.
Go ahead,
apart from Inside, I played episode 1 of Telltale's newest game, Batman, their Batman series.
Interesting.
Totally enjoyed it. I love what they had what they set up to take place in episodes 2 through 5. It could be like with games that Telltale has done like their most prominent ones, the Walking Dead game season 1 and season 2, and the Wolf Among Us based on the Fables comics. They released the game in five parts to give you a full narrative. They're doing the same thing with Batman. And for me, what I think I'm going to enjoy most about this game is how we get to as players experience playing as both Batman and as Bruce Wayne, because I don't seeing Batman as Bruce Wayne, seeing Bruce Wayne as himself, interacting with Gotham and its citizens isn't something that you necessarily get, because whether it's a movie or a cartoon or Rocksteady's Arkham games, or whatever the fuck else, you're pretty much playing just as Batman, as DC's. As DC's greatest detective, and what he does when he goes bump in the night, like with Telltale's style of narrative and storytelling with their games, their stuff has dialogue. They have choices. They have quick time events. It's not necessarily like super fast paced. So what do you fill the other half of the game with? Bruce Wayne, and I like what they set up, how we will get to play as Bruce Wayne, interacting interacting with and navigating within the city's political sphere, and how the choices that you make as Bruce have an effect on his night job as Batman. I mean, like in episode 1 alone, we of course met Bruce Wayne. We of course met Alfred. We got Commissioner Gordon. We got Catwoman. We got an interesting take on Oswald. I think we got Harvey Dent, and I'm excited. And you got to be a detective. You got to fight. You got to set up how you take out thugs. You got to there was a dinner party. There was a dinner party where we're up in the left hand corner. It's like they will remember that, and I was like, oh shit. And I'm interested to see where this goes. So I think episode 2 is going to be released at the end of next month. So I'm excited.
Yeah, one of the things.
Sorry.
One of the things
Go ahead, Jack.
Sorry. One of the things that was interesting to me is that, we took forever to try to get a Batman that is like totally usable in terms of like having efficient gameplay, because it's always been hard to make Batman have good gameplay. But I always thought that was kind of stupid, because the real reason you watch and do Batman is because of the characters. Because like after the Mark Millar Batman, it's like all about the characters, like how he's actually a psychopath, and it's a thinly veiled attempt to go into his psyche. So like frankly, like this was always the kind of Batman game I wanted for that character, is you want to go in and explore the tale itself, because frankly like that's much more interesting than like how Batman does it, which is Deus Ex Gadget.
This is true. And Peter, so it sounds like since there's Harvey Dent, not Two-Face, right? So it's pretty early then in the Batman lore.
Yeah, I mean, granted, I'm fairly certain that Harvey Dent will become Two-Face. So it's kind of like the set. It's the set, like I know where this character is going, but I do like that we get to see Harvey Dent. I mean, kind of as we usually do. Like we get to see him before the fall.
Okay, I just thought of a really random thing, but I hope that this happens, where it's a quick time decision, and you have to choose which way you have to tackle Harvey into like the acid, and which way you choose is which side of his face is fucked up.
Oh, that would be amazing!
I actually kind of like that. I will. If it ends up being just me who plays this game, and I get to that point, I will definitely let you know.
Please do.
Yeah.
For sure.
But that sounds interesting. I'll be very curious to hear how you say that the Bruce Wayne stuff holds up, because that's always been the big complaint, and that they're doing something kind of ambitious that even the comics have a hard time doing, because even in comics you're trying to do more action and bigger moments, and Bruce Wayne's always been sort of the thing. Like Batman's not as interesting as Bruce Wayne, and the villains are more interesting than Batman. That's always been kind of the big thing. So it sounds like this is earlier on. We don't have as big a rogues gallery. We are focusing on Bruce Wayne. They're trying to take a bigger risk, and so that sounds interesting rather than just doing here's your typical Batman story, which is fun too. But sounds like they're trying to do something a little bit different. Like, we have time to explore Bruce Wayne, which is interesting.
Yeah, I think the risk has stands a good chance of paying off because what it looks like a big part of the conflict is going to involve is going to, of course, like trying to help Harvey Dent become mayor, and like all of the bullshit that comes from that. But I think it's going to also explore Bruce Wayne's past, particularly his parents, and what their role as such big philanthropists in Gotham, what it was, and any possible like kind of shady things that they may have been accused of being involved in, because it's Gotham City. It's there's always like dark corners and alleys in that city, so so there has to be like some dark corners, like for in any family, skeletons in the closet, I would think.
Yeah, that's interesting to see, like how it backs up with the canon, because there is some stuff on there with like how his parents in the past were part of the Court of Owls and something along those lines. It'd be interesting to see if anything of that plays out.
Right. Yeah. I'm excited for this game, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the episodes. So I have about a month to I have about a month to wait.
Well, yeah, you'll have to let us know when you play the next one.
Yep.
Well, I have been playing Red Dead Redemption. I mentioned this last time, but I'm doing a full playthrough, my first full playthrough since it came out in 2010, which makes
Grand
me
Theft
feel...
Auto and the Wild Wild West.
Grand Theft Horse.
Fucking love that game.
Grand Theft Horse.
It is interesting to replay, because I always thought this game had one of the best stories ever, and I still think it has a really great story, but I am more noticing flaws in it. Particularly in like the stranger storylines. I used to remember them being really like dark, depressing, interesting, but every single one begins like, you meet a really nice person and then something horrible happens to them, or you meet a good bad person, you find out they're even worse and you got to murder them. Like it's not as clever as it thinks it is, and like especially the writing on the women is terrible. It's a Rockstar game, but what are you expecting? But it has one really good female character, but so many of them are like dumb or like don't understand. Like all the guys just want to fuck women. There's a lot of rape, and like it's like the Wild West and stuff, but it gets a little much after a while. There's just some good stuff though in it. I think it's just because it's a game, it repeats itself. It gets old. Like, how many times do you know that the military guy who's trying to take over Mexico is going to end up becoming the Mexican thing? Like, that's a cool story, and that's interesting, and it's kind of cool to like see that character and then read in the paper when like years and years later that like he's taken over the Mexican government, and later on, spoiler, he like gets overthrown himself, and like it's sort of a background story that's told really interestingly, and like you never see him again, but like when you meet him, all he ever talks about is sex, and all he ever does is like talk about blustering. He's not going to live it, and like it's just the cleverer moments get underplayed by just the obviousness of keep doing the same thing over and over again. You have to go on 9 different missions with the government officials being like, "We're always watching you, and you're a killer, and you're never going to change," and it's just like any subtlety gets lost because you just do the same thing over and over again, and the subtlety just gets ground to a halt, which is why I think this would make a great movie or TV show or something where you can kind of flesh that out, cut it around. But when you have to go on these missions over and over again, you're like, I get it. I get it. But the game, I still think, is very interesting. It's still just got gorgeous mechanics. It just going around the country feels great. The way they transition from place to place. That's one thing Rockstar has always been great at, particularly Grand Theft Auto San Andreas is sort of famously, people have like expanded that map and kind of shown how small it is, and it's shocking if you've ever played San Andreas because it feels huge, and they did a very clever way of weaving you in and around certain areas and building things up to make them look bigger and using scale in a really interesting way. And they do so here too, like going into the mountains and just slowly gets more snowy, and you just start seeing more like woodland, like bears and creatures like that. Just kind of beautiful and perfect, and those moments are still awesome. But I just think the writing is like, it's great stuff, and there's awesome moments. But man, the subtlety is not there as I remember it.
Well, I hate to say this for me, like I hate a little bit open world games, and the trend of them taking off kind of bothers me. Like, people are like, "Oh, you like linear games," and I'm like, "No, I like it when there's like a linear plot line, and it can be multi points where it fades off and goes in different directions. Like, but I like it when the creators of a game are telling me a story, and that's gonna segue into our discussion today. So I'm gonna stop that there and let Ben finish up his thoughts about Red Dead Redemption.
Episode for another day.
Well, you make a good point about open world too, because like the telling story thing is definitely a part of it. Because every single time you go out, you know what's going to happen. You got to shoot a bunch of guys.
Right.
Like
Yep.
everywhere you go, you're just going to run into a bunch of guys. And you compare it to like a BioShock, where you also just kill a bunch of guys, but it's a city under siege and everyone's gone insane, and like it makes sense, why it's happening more. Versus here, it's just like, literally at some point, like, we're going to go meet a bunch of natives. And you're like, and we're going to meet the natives, and they're going to hate us, and we're going to have to kill a bunch of guys, right? Yeah, that's exactly what
Probably.
Yeah,
so,
that's
like,
exactly what's going to happen.
And so it just gets old, and when you play through, it's just like, you could cut it back, but obviously you want to make it. It's not as bad as Ubisoft. Like, there's something about these Ubisoft games, like Far Cry 3, where, like, you feel the repetitiveness more. Maybe because Ubisoft sends you on more fetchy quest stuff, and this is more like, if you want to do this, you can. If you want to do this, you can.
Well,
100% completion is always there.
For
me,
you, like,
but you don't have to.
Red Dead Redemption ties into like a bigger world, so like the quests feel part of the world. You can encounter the quests without actually having like a quest giver. Like, it feels very like fluid, and that's the best way to do open world. Whereas like fucking like Far Cry 3, like they give you a quest and you go fetch like 20 transmitters or 20 tiger hides or
Yes.
like some very stereotypical questy bullshit like that. Like literally there's a number, and like as you collect it, the number counts off in the upper left part of the screen. Like that's just like purposeful immersion breaking,
No, or like the mechanics, you have to just like, okay, we built these mechanics, you gotta use them. Like, that's when that was the crazy part for me, is at one point you have to like climb this mountain to go get this one guy, and it makes that one very interesting because it's like the final guy in the gang you have to get, and it's like should be very meaningful, so it's kind of more memorable to have the only time you actually use these kind of climbing mechanics for a mission. And I'm like, man, if this is an Ubisoft game, there'd be 9 climbing missions. You know what I mean? Like, because they built those climbing mechanics, and you're gonna fucking use them, damn it. So we built those damn climbing mechanics, and you're not gonna not use those climbing mechanics. And so, like, I appreciate the restraint, but still, there are times where it's like, gotta shoot a bunch of guys. But it is a little bit better at like, here's a bunch of guns. You can pick which gun you want. We're not gonna make you have to use this gun. You can use just a pistol the whole time. Use a shotgun the whole time. Here's a bunch of explosives. Here's a bunch of land. You maybe use a horse and run around. Maybe you lasso. They give you a little more options, which I appreciated.
Can I be? So this is my favorite thing sorry, I keep cutting people off. Sorry, this is
it's fine.
This is something I've never really talked about. But one of the things that, like, did you ever play Gun, which is a PS2 era Xbox?
I played it so long ago, and I remember loving it, but my memory of it is gone. I
might like Gun more than Red Dead Redemption, knowing full well that the writing is not there and it is a piece of shit, and it actually has open world territories. That it pale in comparison to Red Dead Redemption, but it had like a linear story, and I remember going through that thing and just like being so linear and like having a plot pathways. Because that's the thing is like I really don't like games that think I have tons of time on my hand, and Red Dead definitely is up there with that. But like even there, you're just going out of town to kill a bunch of dudes. But I remember thinking like this game was so good right after I got done with it, whereas like Red Dead just went on forever, and like that ending in Red Dead is like, you know, it's epic. You never forget the ending. But like I will say, Red Dead does not age well, as opposed to something like Journey, which you go back and you're like, damn, it was better than I thought it was, and I thought it was good at the time.
Right, that tightness. You want that tightness of a game for sure.
Right,
for sure. I could feel you on that. So I'm enjoying it, and I don't know if I'll do Undead Nightmare because it's just Undead Nightmare's kind of fun, even though the zombie game thing is, which we'll talk about later, is very old and tired.
It wasn't.
I appreciate that one, and because that they actually kind of retell the same game but with zombies, which is interesting. So like you still like go to Mexico and meet the guy, but he's like fighting zombies instead of rebels. It's like that's kind of interesting. Like the way they shifted is a bit odd, and the storytelling, I think, so it makes Undead Nightmare a little bit more fascinating than just your typical zombies game. So I might try it again, but I don't know if I'm necessarily going to, because I kind of want to do a Deus Ex, the new Deus Ex game, because I think it fixed a lot of those Deus Ex problems that I had in the first game that never got me to finish it. So
yeah, comes out as a recording tomorrow. So
yeah,
awesome.
So I think I might go get that and not do work anymore.
Right.
All right, Jack. It's time for the music. Cue up the news music.
It's time for the news. I got nothing else than that, guys.
It's so good though.
I like it.
And I like doing background vocals.
Top story for the week. Final Fantasy 15 has been delayed by 2 months.
Pissed. I'm so pissed. I'm so pissed. I'm so
What is
pissed.
that?
I've already
11
been waiting 10
years. 11 years at this point.
11 years.
Yes. I have been excited for this game since Square announced Final Fantasy 13, Final Fantasy Versus 13, and Final Fantasy Agito 13, which eventually came to be known as Final Fantasy Type O. To have Final Fantasy Versus 13 / Final Fantasy 15 delayed again after waiting for so long, it's like, dude, please stop.
They have supposedly, by the look of this, they have truly fucked themselves here a little bit, and I don't mean to use that like crassly, but like that month that they've moved it to is crowded as all fuck. And here's the other thing: in Japan, they're going up against Persona, which is now
Killer.
in Japan way more recognizable in terms of name share than Final fucking Fantasy. Which it hasn't. Persona doesn't have the grip in the U.S., but it's definitely like, you know, they're going to be comparing themselves against a game that does seem to be more likely, in my mind, to be better than Final Fantasy.
It's interesting too.
That's what I want to know. Just why we were all so hyped during, or at least I was so hyped watching the Final Fantasy 15 Uncovered press conference earlier this year, and the final bit of news that they drop is that we finally got a release date. It was supposed to be, what was it, September 30th?
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, like so hyped, and then to get like this close, like a little over a month out, and have them drop that bomb on us, it's cruel.
Here's putting this in perspective for you guys. I might not play it when it comes out because of the month it is.
Really?
Because think about what else is coming out.
No, exactly.
What other big I don't know what's on. I've not checked the calendar recently, so hit me with the.
I mean, but like I think I need to look, but there's like, I mean, there's other games coming out. Like I always have an existing backlog. I actually don't know either. So it was going to be September. So what is that? September, October, November? Yeah, November. Let's see, November game releases. I'm looking up. You guys go.
Well, I think it's also crazy that one day we will do our much hyped, much epic, much exciting Kingdom Hearts rant episode, and it's going to be amazing. But
I hope so.
One thing that just frustrates me about Square Enix and why I've not played many of their games is this split narrative thing. And now with Final Fantasy 15, you have to watch a fucking movie that's now out in theaters. So like, bad timing that you have a movie out that's not going to be out for another 3 months. So like, it's perfectly not going to be on DVD and perfectly not in theaters by the time the actual game comes out.
Right.
So way to mess up the release on that.
No,
and then an online anime series. It's like, so you got to like watch like probably like 15 hours of movies to play your 120-hour game movie. You know.
Actually, they. I've watched the what is like 3 or 4 of the 5 episodes that they've released so far for it. They're actually not that long.
Okay, so they're much shorter. They're more like webisodes and things.
Yeah. They're definitely on the short side. They're not that long.
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
But still, they'll have like a feature film and a web series.
Let me rattle a list off for you here, guys.
I'm
Call of Duty, Infinite Warfare, Football Manager 17, Dishonored 2, Gran Turismo Sport, Watch Dogs 2, Pokemon Sun and Moon, Killing Floor 2, Final Fantasy 15, The Crew Ultimate Edition, Star Trek Bridge Crew, Gravity Rush 2, Space Hulk, Siberia 3, Steep, South Park: The Fractured Butthole, Werewolves Within, Dead Rising 4, The Wild 8, and Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8. Think about that. That is the same month as Call of fucking Duty. Though, I mean, maybe that's not fair. I don't think those markets will actually cannibalize each other too much.
But it kind of came out at the same time as Kingdom Hearts. Like, isn't the game like 15 supposed to have like a Kingdom Hearts style battle mechanic? Like, isn't it trying to pull that kind of thing?
Yeah. If they when they first announced Versus 13, but then the dialogue continued into 15. Tetsuya Nomura, the overall director of the Kingdom Hearts series and former director of 15 before they switched him out.
Right.
They switched him out. The Square switched him out because they were like, dude, you're spread too thin. Go back to the series that you started, please, and thank you. He talked about early on how he wanted the battle system for Final Fantasy 15 to be kind of a grown up version of Kingdom Hearts, which from the looks of it after playing their demos, it kind of is. So I mean.
I need to make a quick on-air correction. I messed up. November and December were combined for that month. Call of Duty, Dishonored 2, Gran Turismo, Watch Dogs 2, Pokemon Sun and Moon, and Final Fantasy are the big releases for November, as well as Gravity Rush 2.
Yeah.
So no Fractured Butthole and no Kingdom Hearts 2.8 and no Dead Rising 4.
Persona is coming out in November, though, right?
In Japan, right?
In Japan.
I think in Japan.
Yeah. So with Persona in Japan, Pokemon Sun and Moon, Watch Dogs 2, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, they are gonna have
Persona 5 is September 15th.
Okay. So never mind. Final Fantasy will dodge that.
So maybe that's probably why they did this. To be entirely honest with you, this is. I mean, if they, for me, like if they could have gotten it out before Persona, but this is kind of probably a smart move in my mind. Like, give people not to be offense, like half a year isn't enough time to play Persona. It is fucking long ass goddamn game, but like it is. Give people 2 months to get through it. I get that. I kind of respect that decision more, knowing that probably this is more an idea aimed at the Japanese market, and knowing that Call of Duty isn't going to be necessarily the most competitive in terms of cannibalizing players for Final Fantasy. I agree with that now. I think a little bit.
It's still just interesting to me. Interesting to me though to know that even with that, Jack, that Call of Duty that a new Call of Duty game and a new Pokemon game and a new Watch Dogs game will be released in the same month, and it's like, and it still kind of makes me wonder a little bit, like, like how screwed might Square be as far as sales are concerned in the U.S. At least.
Yeah.
At least.
I think that there's no doubt in my mind they lost. They're going to lose millions over doing this.
Oh my God, yes.
I mean, September is a good time, and Call of Duty. I think that's the difference. They're missing Black Friday.
Mm.
Like they're gonna miss all Black Friday. There's no. They're getting out too late to be part of any like last minute PS4 bundles. So I can't imagine that there are going to be any like Final Fantasy 15 PS4 bundles or anything along those lines. So in terms of overall sales, I have no doubt that this hurts them. But moving on, we wanted to go ahead. One of the big announcements this week from Gamescom was Metal Gear Survive. Konami lives. They are actually releasing a game.
I'm sorry.
And
do they
terrible.
live though? Can we consider this living? I don't think so.
What is this game?
I don't know.
So the story is that basically a lot of the characters or models from Metal Gear Solid get sucked into a wormhole
because that makes sense.
World populated by zombies. So basically what it all means is, hey, Metal Gear, play with all these Metal Gear characters from Metal Gear Online with zombies. Huh?
I'm sorry.
Right?
I'm sorry. Ben, from what you described, like characters get sucked into a wormhole. And where zombies
sounds interesting.
If I really wanted to play that, then I'll just play Call of Duty Black Ops 3 Zombies.
Right, like it's like that's like a extra thing you do on like a, you know what I mean, like Undead Nightmare said it's similar, but like it tells a different story. But like
right,
the zombie mode has been like a classic like side project, a bonus feature, mini game on so many games. Like
right.
To make this an entire online MMO experience to be the next big step in the Metal Gear franchise, it's just like you could not have picked a worse like
right.
when everyone is judging you for getting rid of Kojima and screwing things over.
It's like it's like they're trying to prove that they can still make a Metal Gear game without Kojima in the weirdest way. Like I don't understand it. I just don't. This
it's really bizarre. And I don't think many people liked Metal Gear Online that much. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong, people, but I remember it being kind of a frustrating mechanical system, and so it's like, I don't know why we want to go back to that.
I honestly didn't even know Metal Gear Online existed, so there's that.
I think it was on 4. I don't know if it's maybe on 5. I think it was on 4.
Yeah.
And I just remember seeing a lot of parody videos about how ridiculous it is to like get inside boxes and hide behind people and stuff like that.
Imagine.
And like also just in general to change from a game. It's like, yeah, I know Metal Gear isn't 100% the most stealth, Black Ops game, perfect stealth game in the world, but like, boy, is this like, wacky guns versus crazy zombies.
The game is co-op, which screams even more. Just play Call of Duty Zombies to me. Just play that, and you'll be fine. I don't.
Right,
need,
and especially
if
this game's going to cost like $60. Like, who's going to buy that?
Well, I mean, I think Konami is saying that it's not going to cost $60 though. So I mean, it's not going to have that price tag on it, but still.
It's just more than anything, it's a bad look. You know what I mean? Like, this is how you're gonna come back after the whole Kojima thing and the whole what's gonna happen with Konami and Pachinko machines and all this stuff. Like, this is what you're gonna answer with the freaking zombie mode for Metal Gear Solid, like the most lazy, easy, trite kind of way to add some gameplay to an already existing thing. Like, all you do is take maps, you got zombies, it's like not that hard. So like it's just frustrating.
They're answering. This is Konami. This like after getting rid of Kojima, this is Konami answering with the kazoo when they should be answering with the foghorn. They pulled out a kazoo and they're like, when it's like, no, I want like a nice, strong, powerful, like
French horn.
French, like a French horn or a trumpet. That's what I want to hear. That's what I want to hear as your sounding call, not this like little toy.
I mean,
and it's really
for
sad.
me, like,
it's really sad to think that this is their next step.
It makes sense from a business standpoint for them, especially with the refocusing bit on the pachinko machines. I mean, at least this is not a pachinko machine, but like, let's be honest, like they're gonna lose value in the brands really fucking fast. And so they're just gonna milk it they're gonna milk what they got for a generation, and they don't give a shit. And this is really scary, actually, a little bit, because like, you know, we all imagine, especially with like it's sometimes it's interesting to me to like realize like how tone deaf Americans can be to Japanese markets, or not. And I'm not saying anyone specifically. I'm saying me myself. Can realize that, you know, entirely Japanese markets can be that, and you're like, you know, it scares you about stuff like Nintendo. It's like, you know, fuck, like, you know, like people can be that tone deaf. I mean, to be honestly, Konami's always been a little tone deaf. So, I mean, tone deaf at least to its audience and some other things. Right. So, and it's always been a bigger company and a bigger part of it. But it scares you when you think about stuff like Sony Entertainment and like how there's, you know, this other part of this business that is not successful at fucking all, and what it means for the future of PlayStation and stuff like that. It's just, you know, we live in such a small, isolated bubble of news. Sometimes I think the big story for me about Konami is, you know, is sometimes like, you know, we're, you know, it's kind of like it's scary, like imagining you're a fucking tiny animal on a speck of dust speeding through the galaxy. That's kind of what the game industry as a whole is, a little bit. It's a speck of dust on a much longer thing that could totally survive without it being there.
That's intense, man.
Sorry.
I was not expecting that. I don't know how I feel about this now.
Sorry.
You see what you've done, Konami? Your zombie game has given Jack an existential.
I need to like check out and like go to my corner and think about this now for a few minutes. Like, I'm sorry.
No,
sorry. Everyone needs to take a scotch break.
Sorry. Like everything about Konami, like you know, people are like, oh, it's so kind of hilarious following their meltdown, and I'm like, no, it just makes me sad, you know. Like, they used to make great games.
Aww.
No, but you make a good point that people run by trends. And
I heard sniffles.
And unfortunately, when you run by trends, sometimes the things you love get snucked up by it.
Yeah. All right. Last news story of the day. The fucking president. Whoa, what's up?
No, I was just saying like a little quick bit, yeah. Like for this.
Yeah.
For this
no, it's a quick bit. The Prime Minister of Japan showed up dressed as Mario and literally went through a Mario pipe through the center of the planet. This is not actual news. It's obviously it was digital. I don't know that I have to specify that. If you're listening to this, you should know that it was digital and he didn't actually go through the center of the fucking planet.
You never know.
Anyways, the Prime Minister of Japan dressed up as Mario to announce the 2020 Japanese Olympian Games in Tokyo.
Yeah. God, Prime Minister of Japan. Let me look up his name real quick because I don't want to get this wrong.
Right, I know.
But yeah, he was. You see a little animated Mario, and then they had the actual green pipe come out, and he came out as him.
Shinzo Abe.
I think it was just surprising to me that, like, getting on Twitter after that and realizing, like, the depth of Mario's market penetration in the United States, that, like, people recognized Mario.
Right.
It just seemed such a weird. Because like Japan is rife with mascots, and I love that little bit that they did. If you go and watch the Japanese commercial, you can see all these little moments where they like have anime shots and tennis players and all this other stuff in the things, and it's just really great. They have Pac-Man everywhere. It was just weird to me specifically they picked Mario, and I know Nintendo is core to Japanese culture. It's just it's just really interesting to you sometimes, like which characters are kind of associated. And I'm very curious about the perception of Mario in Japan now.
Right, well, it's like you think about the English one, their character they chose to open their Olympics game was James Bond, right? With the Queen. And so they're choosing it to do with Mario. And it's like, that's interesting that the video game is like their big cultural touchstone. I don't know what Americans would be. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if we could ever pick one thing to be like, who's going to open it up? It's going to be Han Solo?
Ronald McDonald.
Racism.
Ronald McDonald? Is it going to be T.W. Griffith's The Birth of a Nation?
Oh.
You said racism. I just went on that rant.
I love it.
But it's interesting that a video game can be that big, and we kind of forget that like video games can be compacted, but sometimes you get outside and there are these things that everybody knows. You know, everyone can recognize Mario. It's kind of crazy. Right. He's one of the most recognizable figures on the planet.
Yeah, no, it's just I think it was just shocking to me that he was, it was a good moment for video games because it's kind of like my shock at the Pokemon Go audience. It's like everyone plays Pokemon, everyone remembers Pokemon, and everyone was honestly engaged with the topic, as opposed with like everyone apparently also knows who Mario is, and it's just one of those moments where you feel like, it feels like your childhood's justified, and it makes you feel closer to humanity to know that like there's all these other game players out there that care about this stuff. Because again, a lot of times, same sort of isolated bubble thing. You feel that bubble, and you're like, you go outside, you hide the fact that you have Mario figurines because you think it's nerdy, until you realize that the rest of the human race is totally down with that bullshit.
Totally. It's just kind of cool to remember.
Sorry, I'm very like
heady today.
No, I'm loving this.
Yeah.
But like if anything, dear listeners, go and find a video, find a video of like that 10-minute segment.
So charming.
Of the Rio Games closing ceremony when Tokyo came out, like full technological video game force. To announce how the summer games of 2020 are going to be in Tokyo. It was bomb ass amazing. I loved every second of it.
God, their promos were so much better put together than the last 2 years of promos. I'm just excited to see the Japanese Olympic Games commercials because oh my God, they brought their like tech game.
Watching that promo, those are going to be boss. They're going to be like the shit.
Yeah.
Their opening ceremony is going to be insanely good.
I really like. You saw Hello Kitty and all that stuff, and I was like, oh my God, it's gonna be such a mind fuck.
It's gonna be the best.
And as an anime fan, like the anime is gonna like all of a sudden have this massive cultural impact and like have this deep market saturation here, and it's just gonna be all of a sudden people are like, oh yeah, it's normal to watch anime for like 3 or 4 months while the games are on, and I'll be like, ugh, I hate all of you.
Right though. We're gonna feel like hipsters in 4 years.
Ben, please move me on from this.
Okay, let's go to the topic of our show. It's a bit of a dual topic, but they both go into each other. So first we're going to talk about the release of No Man's Sky. Now, none of us have played it, if I'm not mistaken.
Nope.
So we're mostly going to talk sort of about the response to No Man's Sky. So for those who don't know, No Man's Sky is a procedurally generated exploration game by a small company called Hello Games. A very, very small company, only a few developers. They've been working on it for years. It's been this super hype thing online about there's going to be billions of planets, and you can go wherever you want, and each planet's going to be uniquely created, and there's going to be unique characters and creatures, and you're going to own that planet. You can do whatever you want to it. You can kill all the animals, you can mine it completely to the end, or you can build something or explore. And the game has come out, and it's kind of gotten a resounding meh. It has a 71% currently on Metacritic. There's a very big list that was posted on Our Games about all the things that were promised that didn't happen. We're kind of getting for some of our older listeners, older in terms of video games, I guess, because I feel like I go on Twitch and I feel like a grandpa. Peter Molyneux from the Fable series reminds me a lot of this. There was a lot of things like promised, like you can go anywhere, you can do anything. It was more like you can go some places and you can do some things. Like it was very much a case of overhype, overpraise.
I think.
So, what do you guys kind of felt about the response to this game?
I think for me, like this is definitely like. It's definitely an optics issue of what this game is the only thing. Like, if you read reviews, people either really are bored by this, or people are like super, I don't know. they're like giving people death threats for not liking this game, or they absolutely hate it. So I feel like I never heard I feel like there are some mess, but like I agree that the overwhelming thing is meh. But like people are either like just like creepily into it, and the thing is, I always find that people aren't into the game as much as they are into the idea that this game represents. And I clearly think that's because the whole like this was sold weird. I think this game could have done better if it had come out and people had been like, "Whoa," you know, like that would have been better than like what happened, which is, you know, the sun, the moon, and the stars. Here you go, and then you open it and there's like a heart, you know, like a hot turd in there. Very nice hot turd. Very nice hot turd. Procedurally generated hot turd. So it's just like
it's like no other
amount of butts pooping out turds for you to choose from. But
every turd looks different. It's no turd is alike.
Just like those fucking turd animals with like tiny little legs walking around.
Every turd is like a snowflake.
Every snowflake turd. Oh my god. I mean, have you guys played it?
I haven't. I mostly just watched a lot of reviews and read a lot about it because I just find the story about it more interesting than I think playing it probably.
I did not buy it. I picked it up from a friend and played like 10 minutes at his house of it, and he was very in love with it, and I was very meh. Because that's exactly the type of bullshit that like I'm like, no, bring back linear games, bring back tight experiences that are 2 hours long, bring back, I don't need a long game, I need a good experience that I can sit down and unwind with. And that bullshit is the exact opposite of anything that I'm going to like. So I mean, up front, I'll say like I was never going to like that game. But I think I don't think there's anything wrong with it so much as it's just like, you know, the idea of it took off. And that was the thing is like people were like, oh my God, this looks insane. And even the first trailer when I saw it, I was like, you know, that trailer's not actually that good. Like the game is what it is. They never actually explained what you do in the game. And as it turns out, you don't actually do anything in the game. You just fuck around.
You explore, you collect, you fuck around, you fly around, and you in theory work towards getting to the center of the universe because it's something there. Whatever. I mean, for me, like I kind of agree with I agree with Jack. Like this was never going to be a game that I got. I mean like the times that I have watched that I've watched streamers on Twitch play the game, like I've enjoyed it. But even then I'm really only enjoying it in spurts. Like I can't be like kind of your, I guess, like quote unquote like traditional like Twitch streamer and be sitting there and watching them play for like 5, 6, 7 hours on end. It's like I can only really take it like for maybe like 30 minutes of seeing, you know, the same thing, and before it's like, okay, I'm gonna peace out for a while, bye.
Yeah, I mean, almost 78% of its player base has been lost, as you pointed out to me, Peter, before we got on air.
Yeah. Fuck. Seriously?
It's crazy, right?
At the very least on Steam. I think that's the article. That's the article that I saw. 78% of its player base on Steam was lost in its first week because I guess they just like dipped out and they're like, bye.
Yeah, because I think you do it for a couple hours and you realize it's just the same thing over and over and over again.
Right.
And you just, unless you have that magic spirit that you want to go look at every single planet, you see the mechanics right away and you just go, nope.
I think I would have that experience of wanting to explore a lot of stuff if as Jack said, I had a linear story of some kind to follow at the end of the day.
Right.
If really the only purpose is fly around, dick around, and collect shit, there's not much you can really go on.
I can go to the woods and dick around and collect shit. That's real.
Yeah, I could go find some interesting stones, and at the end of the day, I'd have a stone and not a piece of like a $60 fucking piece of shit.
I can dick around on YouTube for like 5 hours and be more entertained.
It's true. You find a video no one's found.
Dick around on YouTube forever. Let's just say that.
That's true.
That's pretty accurate. You're right.
Yeah. And
YouTube is truly
around right now,
generated.
go check out Tuscan Shed Media Network's official YouTube channel because I haven't updated it in months, and you can make fun of it.
Yeah, that's what's
yay! Fun. Or on Helpful Media. That's an actual updated YouTube channel. Go check it out. Sorry, I couldn't.
Well, to get into our main topic, as you mentioned, Jack. This game probably would have been better for two things. One, if it wasn't given this crazy long media Peter Molyneux-esque hype of you can do anything, you do anyone, be anybody hype, and also I think a big part of it has been the price. The $60 price tag.
Way too steep.
Right now, as probably by the time this is out, you can go get Mankind Divided from Deus Ex from Square Enix, a big company. It's got great reviews. It'll probably give you 20 or 30 hours of linear storytelling, which
right.
And that's if you don't do anything else.
That's true.
Right.
And there's probably a lot of interesting things to explore and good stuff. And so
upgrades.
We get to an interesting question, which is people always have a good opinion of games too cost too much. Games is worth the price. You know what I mean? Like most people think Binding of Isaac, that's an amazing steal because you can play that game if you get into it for hundreds of hours and it's like $10. Or something like No Man's Sky feels too expensive because you go in and you realize the mechanics aren't very there, and why are you paying a game that you can play Skyrim or something like hundreds of hours for the same price? But I guess what I'm coming to is we never really talk about where that mindset comes from and if that's a bad mindset. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about here. Is with a film, it doesn't matter if it costs $3 million to make or $100 million to make. You spend the $10, you know, whatever your theater says the price is.
Unless you go to matinee like I do.
Books kind of have variability based on kind of rarity and things like that, and depending.
And like hardcover versus paperback.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Television is based on like what you're buying around it. So like it's an interesting thing where we base it solely on what the game's intention is. So I guess we're stuck with this system, so it's not like we can't get rid of it. But so we're not going to talk about that. But what do you think is sort of the value in rating a game based on how much it costs? We'll start there.
So I hate to jump the gun and go here immediately because this was the last game that was the big discussion about this, but The Order 1886. When it came out, people raged about how short it was, and I agreed. I didn't like the game, but I didn't dislike the game because of how short it was. People felt that they had gotten ripped off at the $60 price tag. I felt I got ripped off because the story just didn't go anywhere and was a bunch of bullshit. It had the most
cliched ending you could possibly do for a fucking story.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that's the thing. Is like I was always there, like screaming at people, like it's not the length. Journey is, and I guess Journey is priced less, but like if Journey had made me pay $60 for it, done. Journey is one of those games that needs to have like a DVD released of like some sort of Criterion Collection style.
The Criterion of games.
Yeah, no. If it had like a $40 Criterion Collection release of a game disc, I would buy that immediately, and it had some cool box art. Like I would eat that shit up in a second.
Ooh,
and it's not because it's short. It is.
And like a cool like making of stuff and commentary and things like that.
Yeah, give me the game, some commentary, like a $10 art book and the soundtrack, and I'll pay up.
Right.
Boom.
Whereas like we automatically do that for some things like MMO services and online services. I mean, I think there is something to be said for a length of a game, like, but at the same time, like, you know, like Final Fantasy 13, like got grindy as all fuck. And I was just like, no, like you cannot, like, and that was the other thing that like people were like, it gets really good after like 20 hours. I'm like, fuck you. That's not a thing you can say. You can't say to people that this game gets good in 20 hours. Like that's an insane barrier to entry.
Right. So
I wouldn't know.
That's basically with sleep and food 2 days of nonstop playing till you like a game.
Right.
It's crazy.
Like you have to like, and I'm like, I know that we all really, 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 really want to like Final Fantasy again, but like if they do bullshit like this, fuck them. Like fuck them. Go play Persona. Jump ship with everyone else. I don't know. I still love the original Final Fantasies, and I really love Final Fantasy 12. I really fucking love that game. But
I was actually talking about that earlier today.
Fuck
yeah.
me. I don't know how I got onto these, but I mean, I think the thing is, you know, it comes back around to like these different pricing, and a lot to do with like the retailers, because like if the retailers are gonna keep forcing us to do these $60 game prices, it does come up. I feel like that's the bit where people get burned, and that's why people are like mad right now, because I'm sorry, with the smaller team, at Hello Games. I think Hello Games is the guys that made No Man's Sky, correct? I'm
yes.
correct, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. With a smaller team at Hello Games, this needed to be a $20 game.
Right, and that's where I get into an interesting thing is with these smaller games.
If Sony hadn't stepped in like they did.
Yeah, they fucked it up. They made it a thing.
They did.
Thanks, Sony.
No, I mean,
it's also just a thing like with these smaller games too. I remember that with Gone Home was kind of the first game I remember, which is a game I don't like anymore, but for different reasons. Again, not just the length,
right.
but that was a game. It's very short. It's like $20 to basically an hour, maybe 2 hours of not even gameplay, more like narrative storytelling.
Of exploring and turning on lights.
Turning on lights and reading notes, and reading the most cliched
I
lesbian story ever written. And it's just, please, for the love of God, just play Life is Strange. It does everything Gone Home wanted to do so much better.
I need to finish that game.
It's so much better. Anyways, but my point is, that was the first time I was like, and it's so weird because like they make a good point where I was listening to them on podcasts, and like, well, we're 4 people, and we spent 4 years making this game, and $20, and if we sell this many units, and that's how much it would make just to break even. And so you get to an interesting point, you're like, okay, that's interesting, that's fair, you did work for a long time on it, but it's also like, it's tough because there is a part of you that's like, but it's still $20.
No, see, that's the thing. You can't tell me.
It's sort of a you know it when you see it kind of thing.
I'm sorry, Ben. You can't stop me from buying. You can't tell me to buy a game and be like, no, I'm not criticizing.
Oh, for sure.
You, I'm saying like here, like, you know, that criticism. I'm like, you cannot, because somebody budgeted poorly, tell me that I am like I owe them more money. Nothing about a game's development. It is a product. It has to be fiscally sound. If breaking even means that you have to sell a certain amount of the product, and there's just no way you can do it without like having an upswell of love from the community, I think it's an inherently unsound product, which is the interesting thing because we keep with Kickstarters, we keep getting all these more highly unsound products to market is what's happening. Is like clearly that's just an inherently thing is that we're more accepting of like these unsound existing products heading to market and different things, which is interesting because No Man's Sky was bound by Sony. I don't know why the fuck Sony fucking threw all this money at it. I mean, they must. I mean, all I can say is like, there's people that like talk about that first trailer, and it's just all they ever fucking wanted in life. And I think there's like the marketing director at Sony just must be that guy. That's all I can think. He just must be that one guy that was like sees that trailer and like plays it like 5 times a day because by the fucking if you go back and look at the initial like views of that initial like trailer, it's just an insane amount of millions and millions, more than there are gamers. It has views, you know.
Right. Well, I think there is a natural love for space and a natural love for exploration, and the fact that we as people know that we've gone to space, but no one's going to space right now. So if we're in between like that awesome early exploration and that really cool later exploration, so our brains are just like, I want to go to space. So I think that does tap into something that a lot of people want, and also just the idea that a game can be anything. We're waiting for that game that can kind of do everything, but we're just not there yet. And I just kind of knew from No Man's Sky with all the hype, I'm just like, I just don't think we're there yet. I think it's going to be Spore. This is like totally what Spore was selling me on, the same thing. Like, you'll see the entire progress of life. I'm like, are we? And then I bought into Spore, and then you get it. It's like, oh no, it's 4 mini games, and that's about it. Like, you know, so
that's unfortunate.
They're like, it's The Sims expanded, except you can do way less shit.
Yeah, like it was gonna be like it's gonna be Flow, and then it's gonna be like Civilization, and then it'll be Sim City, and then it'll be Alpha Centauri. Like it's gonna be all the games you love in one game.
And the only thing you will remember about is how close you were able to get the creatures to looking like human penises.
Exactly.
But actually, I've watched like a gameplay of that of Spore for like on like 5 different occasions, all 5 times, like different people playing different accounts on YouTube. Every single time, whether it was man or woman, they ended up looking like penises.
Right.
That was
right.
Well, I think the thing with the pricing of games is that it is tough for these in small developers. Like you're right, Jack, in terms of like you can't deny that. But like when I look at someone like That Dragon Cancer, you know, where like this guy just made this game because like he was struggling with his child's death, and he wanted to kind of convey that through game medium. And all the reviews online from people are like, "Ugh, what a depressing game for $20," and like that's where it's like that's where it gets tough to me, where it's like, okay, that's what's going to be hard, where like we make these artistic games that might be challenging and tough. It may not even be games, and maybe kind of weird. That's where it's tough to be like, are we allowed to still say like $20? I don't know if it's worth $20. Like when it's like an emotional raw experience, it's not even supposed to be fun in a sense. Then like, but then it's also like maybe you shouldn't have to pay for that kind of experience. But I pay for dark, depressing experiences in movies all the time. But that's because I'm a weird cinephile who likes to see those kinds of films, and I know a lot of people go for just entertainment escape. But like, I think if you're going into a game knowing that it's this thing, this person's experience that you're going to pay money to help support him for making, I don't think it's kind of right to necessarily say, oh, $20 for this depressing thing. Jeez.
All right, so my initial response to that is that we are never free. There is never a point when we censor criticism, is the bottom line. I mean, yeah, we can say that like that. We can criticize the criticizer and say that was important.
I'm not saying delete his reviews,
said, but I'm saying like it's never wrong to criticize and say, hey, these people might not enjoy this experience. I agree. There's some. I've seen some Dragon Cancer reviews where I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, guys, like back the fuck off. Like I know what you're talking about, Ben, and I agree with it. I just think that like people, like there's never any point where like a criticism, if they actually felt those things about that game and thought that it was a horrible ripoff and that he was doing, I mean, and that's the other thing, is because he was so open about his child's cancer experience, people were people like accused him of being like milking the experience. So there was this background kerfuffle, and I don't think he did that at all. Just saying, he's not milking his fucking cancer child's thing, but other people might, and they presented that as criticism. I don't think it's valid criticism from my perspective, but at the same time, like, it is a criticism that could be like I take this from the person that like does not take criticism well. Like, people have criticized these podcasts that we've been putting together, and like I did not take it well at all. like go ask like a friend. Like I asked my friend, I was like, oh yeah, you should go listen to Animania and check it out, and he came back and he said, well, really, honestly, there's too many people on this cast, and you really should just pare it down to one topic as opposed to two. And I don't really know that the girl even watched that. And I said, go fuck yourself. I will shove my fist up your ass and work your face like a puppet.
Oh my God.
I threatened a man with death. Like, I don't take criticism well.
Good
but
Lord.
You absolutely have the right to criticize people. I'm sorry, Matt. I really don't mean to threaten your person.
I was going to send you a whole thing about movie game podcast just as a suggestion. No, I don't know.
No. You can. I mean, it's different, Ben. I appreciate it. I will probably not talk to you for like a day and a half and like seed privately, and then we will use a lot of the suggestions. That is my new methodology.
Sounds good. Sounds like a good method.
I take criticism. I just might be sassy about it. Just
Is sassy the right word for it though?
Maybe threatening. I don't know. It's you never know, Peter. I'm a humble person. I think my point is, like, with criticism, it's like, the game is going to be priced and supported as. There's like games like, clearly Battlefront. What was it? Yeah, Battlefront was successful as a Star Wars video game, but I think it's a fair criticism that it was overpriced for what you got. I think you have to separate out issues of, like, is it what the market supports and what is the most consumer facing kind thing to do. Like, did the market support that Dragon Cancer? Right.
Yeah, with Battlefront especially, like, it's like, well, you could just say this is a Battlefield add-on with Star Wars skins, like, but they put a lot of time and energy and stuff into it, and they also think, well, the Star Wars Battlefront game has been a popular series before, and it's sold as its own series before, and why not? Why not sell it as a full $60 game?
And that's the thing. Like,
fair,
if I put on my PR marketing director hat, there's like the answer is always there. Like, I mean, that's the thing, is like, there's two Jacks. There's the gamer consumer Jack, and there's business Jack, and business Jack's a fucking asshole. Like,
business Jack's a huge asshole too.
No, exactly. Like, you think about it, you're like, you think of like the actual thing you should do, and I was like, frankly, like, we could have done less work on that fucking Star Wars game. Like I'm totally down with them like doing less stuff, like them adding on the free packs. Like no, they could have just left that out there and been like, we're actually gonna do it right next time, and just like left it to die, and then built a new one this coming December, and people would still buy it on the promise that they actually do it right this time and get it right. And then you're splitting your resources doing the game that everyone wants to do, or just like half delivering, because you can't continuously half deliver and get people to do it, but you can. Yeah, this is a terrible example. I need to say it. Somebody's listening will do it. I don't know. I just want a single player because I want it to be linear, motherfuckers.
It's going to be linear, motherfuckers. Well, I think it's a problem with value over gameplay, and the time thing is the thing that's frustrating me. I agree with you, Jack. That's the part where I get my craw stuck up. Like gets things stuck in my craw is, and you don't want things stuck in your craw. You just want a gentle craw. You don't want a messed up craw. We're losing our minds. It's too late. Is the time thing, because I understand the appeal where you're like, Skyrim is kind of want to go back to. You can go this huge world and you can do so many things for $60. You can go anywhere, or you can play Doom, which has an awesome single player campaign. Like if you guys are looking for like great FPS single player campaign, Doom nailed it recently. The multiplayer is terrible, but that's the thing. Like everyone's like, multiplayer is terrible. Well, why do I just pay $6 for a single player game? And like, it's so frustrating. We don't live in a day and age where like that's okay anymore.
People
that's
want more.
That's the thing. Is like it's again, it comes all the way back around to the quality and the quality you personally think. And I think that's sometimes untrue, is because people have different multiplayer experiences. I've seen people that have vastly different experiences with Overwatch and think Overwatch is a piece of shit. And I cannot say no to that sometimes. Like I think Overwatch is inherently good, but at the same time, like they've had such a negative. They don't have like online people to play with, or they have like a different. All their friends are on PS4 as opposed to Xbox One, because who the fuck owns an Xbox One? Sorry, but like that's the point.
No, I'm looking to get a PS4, so
no, you do, because you just want to enjoy the crowd, but just don't buy one right now. There's literally a Kotaku article right now that says don't buy PS4s because they're gonna either drop a price, drop the new versions, or we just don't know how the fuck everything's gonna pan out with the Neo, or what the fuck's gonna happen.
Good to know.
I'm waiting.
Yeah.
I'm waiting.
Do not buy something. Like, I mean, it's very possible around Black Friday that we're looking at like $199 PS4s. Like, that would be insane.
And if that is true, and if I have a better job by then and I am able to afford it, I'm getting myself my own PS4 fucking finally.
Oh my god, that's gonna be amazing. Totally. I mean, that's like my hope, is that like we can get like come Christmas, like everyone can get like a super cheap PS4, which would actually be the best thing. For them, which is interesting to me, because like I'm just not buying into the Neo, but sorry, I'm way the fuck off the rails now.
You do realize that that's like a norm for all of Tuscan shit, right?
Right. I know. I really don't organize this shit very well.
I kind of like it.
I know.
Podcasts are meant to be going off the rails. It's like
I know.
It's part of our charm.
Ben, do you have any last thoughts?
Yeah, I think we covered pretty much everything. It's just such a weird nebulous thing, because like I don't have like a set ideology. It's just very weird.
I mean, just say value should equal the monetary value, and I'm just like, oh, that's bullshit. Like, there's no reason.
There's no way to measure that.
It's what you should feel, and I think that's the thing.
That's, I guess, my main thing is I don't want it to people to have like a set opinion, like 10 hours for 20 for $60. Boo! Like if those 10 hours are incredible, fuck it. Because I played 10 hours of boring ass shit for $60 to get to good shit. Like, hey, Red Dead Redemption, I'm having a good time, but sometimes I play this boring ass shit to get some really good shit.
I just accept that, because like some people literally believe that the last 20 hours of Final Fantasy 13 makes the first 20 hours of Final Fantasy 13 worth it, and I just tell those people to go fuck themselves. It can't.
Look, you have to invest in me first. Like, I have to have fun. It would have to
dispense, like, I don't know, like crystal hookers to give me like special glassy blue. What the actually sounds terrible. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it would have to do so much for me to just like give a shit.
I know it. And there's some movies like that too, and it's just like, God, like, how do you do that? How do you watch and shows and stuff? It's like,
the final point is essentially like we don't know how to fix it, but whatever we're doing now is wrong.
Essentially, and I guess my main thing is don't set any one guideline for yourself. Don't set any one. Come at everything much like art. You know, you can come with different criticism, different reasonings, and different ideologies, but don't just go with time or what happens or how long it took you to beat. Because like I said, I played Inside in like a night, and I'm so happy I gave that game $20 because that was an awesome experience, and it was cool, and it was interesting, and I felt like I was supporting a really cool studio that I want to see do more stuff, and hopefully my game shows like, hey, I want them to do more stuff. And obviously that's my thing, but you don't have to. That's
inherently different from pricing, Ben, because if you want to support the studio, that's an entirely different reason. Like
but that's my thing. I don't think you have to do it. Like I said, that's where I'm coming to the cultural criticism. Like that's part of my pricing thing. It's like if I want to support that studio is a little bit part of it too. Like I don't care if Ubisoft gets my money. They have so much goddamn money. Like so, like versus that's like a play.
Ben, like, but that's the whole that brings up so many ethical points right here at the end. Like, if like Ubisoft has money, that doesn't mean you shouldn't give money to them. It doesn't.
No,
mean
I'm not going to steal their games. If they make a good game, I'm going to give them games.
Maybe like the coffee boy Jeff that like worked really really hard on Assassin's Creed Unity. Oh, I don't think anyone worked very hard on Assassin's Creed Unity, but like that's theoretically. Oh snap!
I love it.
Right out of the left field. But let's say that Jeff worked really fucking hard, and Jeff's like, you know, just in the community and all this stuff, and he really wants to keep his job, but Assassin's Creed Unity, you know, wasn't that good, so they're going to do all this new org charting stuff with Assassin's Creed, and Jeff gets laid off, even though Ubisoft goes on and has tons of money because they're operating by economic constraints. This is getting really fucking complicated, but like, I don't think it's nice to think, oh, that person obviously has this money. I mean, yeah, but now Kojima's gone.
I don't think
like,
that
Konami has tons of money.
I know there's always reasons for it, but I mean that's just general. Like again, you go back to your point about like people assign their value and people have to take responsibility for their investments and things like that. But I can also feel like good about giving $20 to Play Dead. That's my own.
No, I agree with that.
Thing.
I just think
like, I feel good about giving money to Play Dead. Like I don't feel as much for Ubisoft. I just don't because they're just a different kind of company.
Like if they they started a Kickstarter for Psychonauts, and I'm gonna kickstart the shit out of that. It still needs to be like what?
Because I really didn't like Broken Age, and I gave a ton to Broken Age.
I get that feeling. I didn't give anything to Broken Age, and I get that feeling of getting burned by these things, especially Tim fucking Schafer. Oh shit.
Yeah. I don't know. Tim Schafer kind of might be like George Lucas, where he needs to be in more constraints than like left alone. I think sometimes.
Yeah, which is all his great games.
I don't know.
Like,
He's
you go back and
like,
look at like the restraints that he had on him, and those are the moments when you think, man, this is when he made himself. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, he does tend to actually finish projects if they're not as good as you want them to be.
Which is good. Yes.
Yeah.
Better than a lot of Kickstarters on that front.
Oh god, it's so easy to get burned nowadays.
It's crazy. I don't do many Kickstarters. I just do very few.
Mighty number 2 because it's a shit.
Hey.
Yeah. Hey. Comedy podcast. We are not in the comedy section. We are TV and film all the way. No, video game hobbies. I think. I don't know. I need to look. I don't even give shit.
All right, so we'll end with we don't have a listener question, but I came up with one for us. What, if you can remember?
So sad.
Someone send us questions.
Just go. I'm sorry.
We know you're out there. Well, I was thinking,
Rob.
What is, if you can remember one, what is like a boss or a level or a race or something that you remember spending too much goddamn time on and just drove you crazy and you spent all night? Maybe even had one of those kind of magical moments where you go to bed that night and you come back in the morning and do it perfectly because your muscle memory is perfect. Do you have any like one specific one that kind of haunts you? I remember a one in Conker's Bad Fur Day. We have to do like this lava race. It's so hard. I don't know why it was so hard, but I believe it was in Conker's Bad Fur Day. There was a game like that, and God, when I beat it, it was just like the best day of my goddamn life. I just felt so much relief.
I have one easy. Vicar Amelia and Bloodborne. Bloodborne was my first game that I actually dug my teeth into in terms of the Blood Soul series. and I got to Vicar Amelia, and yeah, there's something about her character model and the way she fills the room and the way she screams so loud, and because you have your volume turned up, and then all of a sudden she like blows the shit out of your mics, and there's just it's just like, it's one of those things is like there's this really cool play in Bloodborne and specifically Bloodborne, I feel, because it's much more jumpy, but like you have to have balls while playing it, and like once you like become fearless of the boss, you can get in there and do things that you wouldn't do. But like it's so much funny. It's so funny for like these bosses to scare you in such a way. It's just like, I am so fucked, I am so fucked, I am so fucked, and you lose because of that. You start doing stupid shit. And she just scared me for so long. She's not actually like the world's most complicated boss, but like I just like I would go in this room and I would be like, all right, because you have to do a run right before to get to her, and when you get there you're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna get, and then you get in the room and just everything would go out your ears, and like it's just like you like lose, you just like lose, and that was just the thing, is like it was like controller shattering frustration for me.
Oh wow!
I think I played her more than 100. I think I tried to beat her more than 100 times. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I think I did that similar with a boss in No More Heroes. There's one boss that can kill you with one hit.
Oh,
no.
And
yeah.
Holy shit. You have to, like, sneak behind her and spend, like, fucking hours to get everything so perfect. So when, like, you realize, like, you get to that last moment and there's, like, 1 bar of health, and you're like, okay, don't freak out. You gotta, like, still be in that weird calm zen state you're in.
Yeah.
That got you here. But you know that one hit, it's like, it's just...
This sounds horrible.
I love it when you're like in that kind of boss zone and you've gotten into the zone, but it's still not enough to beat a boss, and you're just like it's like you're almost like flowing through states, and you're so hyper focused. Like that is the only reason I continue to play Blood Souls series, is because they're the only game in recent memory that have made me do that.
I think it's the equivalent of people who like starve themselves to like hallucinate. I think you bring yourself to this like level of excruciation, and it gives you such a high when you get off of it. It's crazy.
Oh my god, what is this?
I screamed so hard when I finally beat her, that because I'm telling you guys, this was like 105 tries. Like I got her.
I believe it.
Wow.
And like I like screamed so hard, like, and I was in an apartment complex when I beat her, and like Katie came out of the next room and was like, what the fuck happened? And at this point she'd heard me screaming so much about this boss, but like she's like like it was just soul crushing ecstasy. Like it was so good.
Peter, it seems like you're not as masochistic as we are, but have you ever had a moment you've burned yourself so hard?
I mean, not nearly that intense, but one that I can think of from when I was younger was fighting Sephiroth in the first Kingdom Hearts game.
Yes.
And see, once again, bringing it back to Kingdom Hearts, so Jack knows exactly what I'm talking about. I tried so many times to beat that.
I never beat him. I never beat him.
I. The most I could do was slowly whittling away that first bar and a half of health, and then and even then that would be like on my best days, and I still have no idea how I did that, but like I just could never manage to beat him, and it was super frustrating, which is why honestly it was kind of a disappointment to me when they brought him back as a side boss in Kingdom Hearts 2, and it was so much simpler.
Yeah. They added some new side bosses, and I feel like Kingdom Hearts always does that, whereas it has a boss that pushes the envelope of what they think their player base can do. I'm interested to see in 3 if there's just like, if they're going to crank up the boss difficulty to 11 with Bloodborne.
I hope so.
Because Kingdom Hearts weirdly shares so much structure and so many little things with Bloodborne and design, and they've always kind of pushed the envelope on darkness and boss difficulty. I felt like unfortunately Kingdom Hearts 2, with kind of like their action structure, where there was always like a thing where you had to press and Sora would do some cool shit. I hope they don't double down on that, and they double down on boss difficulty and just general difficulty for that series, because it actually has a pretty good deep combo system.
Yeah, I didn't I won't mind though like you said, Jack, like those weird, like those cool shit action moves. I won't mind those as much if they do something like bring back block points,
Right.
if an enemy swings
Right.
and you swing at the same time, cling, and you get experience points for that, and so there became like almost kind of a skill to doing that. Like I would like if they brought that shit back.
Right, which is the thing is because it was actually complicated. I'll never forget the Captain Hook fight, and I even beat it on the first try.
Yeah.
But like
Oh,
it
really?
was so complicated because it felt like it was one of the first times in games that I felt like a real fucking sword fight. You know?
Right. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, it felt really cool, and that's his thing that kind of and I feel like it's weird how I draw so many fucking parallels between my early mechanical, because I was mechanically I wasn't there as a kid playing Kingdom Hearts, but it was easy enough that I could do it. But there's so many I feel like they're mechanically similar, even though the difficulties are vastly different. And there's way more. Well, there's actually probably way more RPG elements and there's a lot more different directions. You have to have like a build in Dark and Blood Souls and that sort of thing because you have to have a pathway. And there's all this other stuff, but like at the same time, like it's just man, oh god, those are so good. I do think it's fun to me, Peter. Like those are our games a little bit, like Bloodborne and Kingdom Hearts. Is that?
Yeah, they really are. Our
They
games.
really are. I mean, I'm gonna especially if Bloodborne 2 gets announced, you guys are gonna hear me lose my mind on this podcast. It's gonna be
And
great.
I look forward to it. I look forward to that shit.
Yeah. Oh god.
My game is Half-Life, so you'll never hear me rant about anything.
Oh, fun
Aw.
news! Did you guys hear about the banner at Gamescom?
No, I didn't. What
Yeah, they put up a Half-Life 3 banner.
Yeah, but it
It's
was
in there.
for
How-
like a podcast with three guys playing the original Half-Life, just the original
Yeah.
Half-Life. It's like so misleading, Half-Life 3, because it's three guys playing Half-Life.
How dare
And it was
they?
in German, so there was all these press freaking the fuck out about it.
Oh, I'm looking at it right now. How dare they? That is
Yeah.
so mean.
It is a dick move. Ben, you
Isn't that
did you have a boss that you had a hard time with?
Yeah, I had definitely one of No More Heroes and a recent one.
Oh yeah. Sorry, you told me. Sorry.
on Blood and Stone, the one of the DLCs for Witcher 3,
Witcher
which
3.
is awesome. It's one of my favorite DLCs ever, just because it tells such a nice, compact, quick story. Jack, if you I know you're not the biggest fan of Witcher, but if you like the mechanics, all right, I would definitely recommend it.
Yeah.
Because that's a solid, well-told story.
Blood and
Very-
Wine. Sorry, I don't mean to correct you.
No, Blood and Wine's the later one. This is Hearts of Stone. This is the first one. This one's shorter. Yeah, this one's just like a quick one story. That's what makes it nice. Blood and Wine's like a whole new land, a whole new storyline. This is just like one dude's story. It's more like kind of a fairy tale.
Yeah.
At one point, you have to kind of fight this shadow version of this guy, and there's 7 dudes, and whenever they all stand still, and whenever you attack one or get near one, they attack you. So the first time you go in, you accidentally attack all 7, and they murder you. So what you have to do is perfectly attack each one, not get close to any of the other ones, so they start attacking you, and then each one gets harder and harder. So it's this really crazy you gotta be attacking, but also kind of be fluid. It's very Bruce Lee, you gotta you can't just go in sword wailing. So it was very clever and very tough. And I was playing on Death March, so it was whew. And that was a nice moment because I didn't realize I had set it to Death March, and I was damn, this DLC is just hard. And I got to that guy, and I'm all right, it's probably on normal. Let's set it to easy. Maybe I'll just give up. And I saw that it was a Death March. I'm no, I've gotten this far. I gotta do it. I gotta do it. And so I beat it on Death March, and I felt so proud. And I'm sure people online were I beat that in 10 minutes. But it felt great for me.
Let's
That's
be
all that
honest.
matters.
People have beat Bloodborne with the Donkey Kong bongo.
The Donkey Kong
drums.
controller.
It's just and not to be offensive, but watching something like that pisses me off to no end. To
It's
know
horrible.
that there will
It's horrible.
always be human beings better at everything than I am. This is the fact.
It's horrible. It's horrible. It's awful. It's the worst. A comedian had a good line once on a podcast where he's you were probably not the funniest people. We're just the people who ended up moving to LA, right? There's probably funnier people out in the middle of nowhere who just never got a chance to be known or be seen by people, and like
right.
are the comedic geniuses. It's like it's kind of true. And like you look at the online, you're like, there's just people who are going to be way better at every video game I've ever played, and that's okay. I'm just gonna have fun with it.
It's kind of a depressing fact about video games. I mean, it's just like it's not. I don't mean to be mean to like the concept. It's just I'm never going to engage with this, and that's the thing. Is like Souls series is what I'm proud of. Like as a gamer, like I hold that up and go, dude, I'm a gamer. You know what I was like, and right. I don't even play like completionist with that bullshit. And that's the funny thing is because like internally within that community, they have no respect for one another. Like I would never post like images of me playing the Souls series because like people would be so fucking judgmental of like all the ways because I cheese people so much. Like I just if you could cheese a person in Bloodborne, I did it. Like that's like Gascon. Oh man, I cheesed him on the headstone. Like I did so much shit to like get them to cheese things and then beat them that way. Like there's just no excuse to wanting to do the suffering.
Yeah, those magic moments though when you win, they're just
God,
so
they're
nice.
so good.
They're glorious. So nice.
All right, well, I think that'll do it for this episode of Save Point Podcast. We will see you all next week for whatever our topic will be. In the meantime, be sure to like and subscribe wherever you can find this show, especially on iTunes. Rate and review us, but anywhere you can rate and review us. This always helps the show find new listeners. It really does help. And like I said, give us a ring. Let us know any questions. We will answer any questions. It doesn't have to necessarily be this sort of questions like, what's your favorite or what kind of things you like, some more specific stuff, maybe not about like our sex lives, but a little bit like more on game topics. But Jack, what is our way people can get a hold of us?
So the best way right now is to we got a couple of places. You can go over to Facebook. You can go over and just search Save Point Gamecast. You can go drop us some likes there and also leave us questions there. You can also head on over to Twitter and you can type in Save Point Gamecast there or it's at Save Point GC. And you can shoot us some questions on there, talk about us, take a look at the recent posts, all the stuff. And as always, you can head over to Tuscan Shed Media Network, type in Tuscan Shed Media Network, or we are at TuscanShed.com. That's all the same thing, but honestly, if you type in Tuscan Shed Media Network into Google, you'll find us specifically because there's a lot of Tuscan Sheds you can buy. So that's Tuscan Shed Media Network. Go check it out. It's a lot of fun. We love you, and we would love to get you guys to talk over there. You can go check us out on our blog, and you can see all our various different shows. You can see the Movie Gang podcast. You can see Geek Space 9 with these other two lovable lads on here talk about Deep Space 9. I might join eventually. I don't know. I can't. Oh man, I can't.
You gotta get on that show at some point. I know it's tough with the spoilers.
I know, and that's the thing is like I almost don't like that show was so long running, and I'm so enamored with the later parts of it. You know what I mean? So like, and that's not to say the early parts are bad. It's just like all I want to do is talk about some of those later parts. So I feel like I would be a buzzkill on it. But there's also our newest show, Animania. Go check it out. We talk about anime every week. We talk about currently airing anime, and we review some of our older favorite classics. So go check that out. And according to Matt, we need less people on there. I disagree. I think everyone we have on there is perfect and amazing, and I love them. I love them very much.
Love you too, Jack.
You always love.
All right. Well, I think that bit of love is a good way to end our somewhat heady, somewhat dark, somewhat beautiful episode of Save Point. So until next time, you guys keep playing the games, and we'll keep talking about them. Talk to y'all later.
Bye.